G'day guys, this is Mick with AussieBuiltSupply.com. I'm here to show you a few products for rammed earth. This is a rammed earth wall. As you can see, the layers, lift lines we call them, they're layers of compaction. So we'll put 7 inches of dirt in forms and they'll compact down to 5 inches. So we're getting our strength from compaction. We do stabilised rammed earth, so we do add Portland cement to our mix and admixture, which gives us extra strength. Also helps deal with engineers and city codes and that sort of thing. We've got 3 products here. Plasticure is an admixture that you will add to your mix when you're ramming. This goes in your mix. These 2 products go on the walls afterwards. These are sealers. This is a binder, a binding coat, which stops dusting and crumbling, and this is a waterproof sealer. So I'm going to show you how to apply these and we'll go from there. G'day guys, I want to go through with you the cleaning process of rammed earth walls. You've pulled your forms off, you've let your wall dry. You might have some staining on your wall. You might have residue left over from a form release on your forms. You might have some stain coming down from your concrete bomb beam. You might have water marks. You might have nail rust marks, whatever. You want to clean your walls before you lock it down with any of the products. We clean them with the muriatic acid. We neutralise the muriatic acid with ammonia. We wash the wall with water. We let it dry. Then we apply these 2 products, the earth binder and the water repellent. Let's get started with the wash and go from there. G'day guys, I want to go through the cleaning process of a rammed earth wall before we apply the sealers. So we're cleaning with muriatic acid, we're neutralising with ammonia, then we're going to wash the wall down with water, and then you let it dry before you apply your earth binder and your water repellent. So here we have your muriatic acid, and we use these simple little ones for muriatic acid and ammonia. They're cheap, Home Depot, hardware store. I like to write on them the little formula. So here we have muriatic acid, 12 ounces per gallon. That's a 1:10 ratio. Ammonia, 8 ounces per gallon is a 1:16 ratio. Write them on these cans, you'll always have them, you'll remember them. So we're going to do a simple process. A couple of things you're going to need. You're going to need gloves or glasses. The muriatic acid, on this mix, 1:10 ratio, it's not real strong. It's strong enough, you might feel a bit of a tingle. Don't get it in your eyes. But you know, we'll be scrubbing with a sponge as well, so that's why we need a glove. There's another little handy things you can get, are little containers with measuring. You can get them from these come from Sherwin-Williams. This comes from Home Depot. So we're going to start with our muriatic acid. This fella over here, 12 ounces. So pretty simple. I've got this little mark here, 12 ounces. Now with muriatic acid, it's like chlorine on a swimming pool. You do not add water to muriatic acid, you add muriatic acid to water. So you don't pour a little muriatic acid and start spreading water, you can have a bit of a reaction. So we're going down, as we said, 12 ounces. So 12 ounces of muriatic acid. And we're going to need a gallon of water, so that's per gallon. So right here, we have pretty close to a gallon. Nice clean water. Okay, so this fella here, gallon of water, muriatic acid. Pretty simple, not too hard. This fella on, tighten him down, give a bit of a shake. Pump up your pumper. And that one there should be ready to go. There you go. Muriatic acid done. That's the first part. Now the ammonia is what neutralises the muriatic acid. So we go back to 1 gallon. These are all 1 gallon mix formulas. Ammonia, 1:16, 8 ounces. 8 ounces. Oh, look at that stuff smoking off. Same again. Put the lid on before you shake, obvious reasons. Give it a pump. Now we're ready. You got your mixers to clean a wall, ready to go. The other thing I recommend, apart from gloves and some glasses, is always have a bucket of water around. We are going to use a sponge as well for really scrubbing. So always have a bucket of water. Any of these sealers and products around, have a bucket of water around. It's just simple cleanup, part of the process. Try not to make too much of a mess. All right, I'll come back with showing you how we're going to apply it with the sprayers. G'day guys, we're going to go through the process now of actually applying the product. We're going to clean the walls with muriatic acid first, neutralise them with ammonia. I like to keep some water around close by, either in a 5-gallon bucket or this container. With muriatic acid, you always want some water. It gets in your eyes, you want to clean out your eyes. So that being said, glasses, very important, and a glove, or gloves. I've only got one, so that's all we're going to use. 1 to 10 ratio is not too strong. You might find a little bit of an irritation on your skin. You might feel a little bit, but it really isn't all that bad. Pump it up, get a good pump up. Now you only want to do a little bit of a section of wall at a time. Don't spray your whole wall and then come back. You want to work a section at a time. Your wall has to stay wet. Very important it stays wet. So here we are here. We're just washing down that wall. Now, what I will have to say is this wall already has a sealer on it. So it's not really penetrating into the wall as it usually would. It would usually penetrate a lot more, and you'd really see it where it's really wetting the wall. But we do have a sealer on the wall, so it's kind of got this beading going on. But for the process of showing you how it's done, we're doing it on this wall. So we're going to do, all of the wall needs to be wet. Now usually you can see where it's really wet and what needs to be gone over again. It's not really showing you right here. We're going to do through to this section here. So there we have a wall coated with the muriatic acid. Now, as I said, it already has a sealer on, so you're not really seeing the real soak effect. You will see that when you don't have the sealers on it. And there'll be little spots that are a little bit dry, so you'll need to go over and just hit that little spot again. Keep all these wool wet. So if you see any dry spots coming on, just keep going over them, wet it all down. Keep your wool wet at all times. Then you're going to get a sponge. And this is how you really get that wool cleaned, in between all the little cracks. Otherwise, just muriatic alone, it's not really going to do a clean. So you're going to start at your top, and you're going to do a circular motion. This is where you have your glove. Circular motion, and you're going to clean. This is going to get all your form release off and all your stains. The muriatic acid actually etches in to concrete and to the rammed earth finish. So you're going to clean all your wool off really good over all of it. Give it a good scrub. Now as you're doing it, you'll be picking up a bit of the sand particles and the loose stuff. And so you'll be washing that, and it'll be slurring around with you and actually help you clean a little bit too, giving it a bit of abrasion. So go over your whole wall with a sponge, giving it a good clean. You might have to clean more, scrub more, depends on the product. As I said, this wall's already been sealed and cleaned. So this is just for showing you how to apply it. Now muriatic acid, as it says, an acid, so you need to neutralize that acid. The next step will be applying the ammonia, which is going to neutralize all of that muriatic acid, which is an essential part of the process. So the muriatic acid is going to really clean that wall, any of your stains, any of your bits and pieces. So after you've done that, you'll find a bit of a sandy, grainy sort of slurry over it because you've stirred it up with this, which is fine. Now once we've done that and you've got your walls clean, we're going to neutralize it with ammonia. Now your wall's still wet. If it is starting to dry out, just keep spraying it down with muriatic acid until you're ready to spray the ammonia. Do not let the muriatic acid dry. So now we're going to neutralize that muriatic acid. Simple process. Clean down your wall, give it a good soaking. A good enough soaking where you'll see a lot of it running down the wall. Give it a good soaking. As I said, you'll really be able to see the soaking if it didn't have a sealer on the wall. Now this is only you pretty well only need to do your clean the very first time. You won't need to, every time you apply sealers, you won't have to do a clean. You've done the first initial clean when you pull your forms off. That's what we're doing now. We don't want to lock any stains in with any sealers. So we're cleaning all our wall before we apply sealers, because we don't want any of those stain marks or run marks or anything on that wall to show up under a sealer. So once again, you want to soak this down real good. You find some dry spots, give it another bit of a soaking there. Let it sit for a bit. Give it a good soaking with the ammonia. Let that sit for a bit, don't actually let it dry. Then you're going to get a hose. And this is where you'll really see all the stuff coming off your walls. So you're going to just basically start from the top. See how we're washing like that? Just coming down your wall. And that's washing off all of that stuff. And you'll see when you wash your wall, you'll see all this sandy, silty stuff coming off your wall. And you'll really see how it's cleaning your wall. So not just are we cleaning your wall, but we're also taking off all those little dust particles that are still on the sandy bits that are still on your wall. So that when we do apply those sealers, we don't have any dusting behind the sealers. You've got a really smooth wall once the sealers go on. Okay, that's basically a wall washed. Now another step that we do, see how you got these runs going on? Well, if you let that dry, you'll have those runs still in there. If you put your sealers on, you'll see those. You'll see those come under your sealer. So ideally, you'd have a larger sponge. We quite often use one of those foams mattresses, and you can chop them up to a big, large square. So you can really put that large sponge on. I don't have it at the moment, but then you're going to go along and you're going to clean your wall like that. You're going to flip it, and you're going to clean all those runs off. So now you don't have any runs coming up on your walls, which are these little lines. You can see these lines. They will dry if you're not careful and be under your sealer. All right, so you're going to clean all your wall off, and you just do a down sweep motion, flip your sponge. You're not doing a circular motion on this one, just straight up and down. And you see how it's cleaning the wall. So when you're finished, you're not going to have any dust or dirt on your walls. They're going to feel smooth, real smooth and clean. And that's what you want before you apply sealers. If you apply sealers over a dusty wall, when you rub your hand on it, you'll feel a dusty wall because it's locked in those grains, particles. If you get a larger sponge, it definitely speeds up the process. If you had a second person, they would be doing the next section of wall. With the muriatic acid, you'd have a person doing the sponge in the water. They could do the muriatic acid and the ammonia. Get the process really moving along. And there we have a clean wall. We've cleaned it of any marks that might have been left from form release, any stains. The muriatic acid's done the cleaning, we've neutralised the ammonia, we've washed it off with water. Then we've gone off that sponge and really get rid of all those runs. So now you have a clean looking wall. It's ready for sealers. So we'll let that dry, of course, before we can apply sealers. But I'm going to now show you how to do the sealing process. G'day guys, I'm going to go through the sealing process. This is the first part of the sealing process. This is where we apply the earth binder. Now the earth binder stops the dusting and crumbling. It goes on a milky finish. It will dry a clear matte finish. It's a penetrating binder. It does soak in to the outside of the wall, but it is breathable also. It's a great product. So I'm going to show you the mixing formula. So with the earth binder and the waterproof repellent, we usually mix up a little bit more than we do the muriatic acid. So these are some old tubs that we use. I have the formulas written once again. So on a 1:8 ratio, 16 ounce per gallon, 1:4 interior would be 32 ounce per gallon. So I have all different containers that we use. There's a waterproof repellent. It's a 1:9, so it gives me formulas. So I can mix up a lot in these first, rather than just doing one of these at a time, or 1 gallon at a time. But for now, we're just going to do a 1 gallon mix. So I'm going to grab a gallon of water, out of our nice clean pond water. Okay, and as we said, a 1:8 ratio is right here, 16 ounces. So I'm going to come over here to the 16 ounces. Now, important with all these containers is you shake them well first too. So they might have been sitting on your shelves or anything, but you definitely need to give them a good shake. 16 ounces. Now you don't have to pour it into there, so we're going to pour it straight into the container. Okay, I'm going to put a gallon of water. 16 ounces of earth binder. Now this is the 1:8 ratio on the exterior. You'd use a 1:4 ratio on interior. It's important that you stick to these ratios, guys, because that does allow your wool to breathe. We do not want to have a real strong mix that can be a coating. We do not want to put on a coating that will lock the wool in from being able to breathe. Okay, so these are a little bit more industrial sprayers than the Home Depot cheap ones that we use for muriatic acid and ammonia. They also hold quite a lot more. I just find they have a lot better sprayer on them. We also use these extendable hoses that we made. It just gives you a lot more room to move. So there's the mix ready to go. Right there. Once again, I like to have some water next to me with a sponge, so any spills or anything like that. We're also going to use a shield, protect it on the window as I'm spraying. Now, if we do get anything on the wool, we're just going to get a sponge and a bit of water, and we wipe it down right there and then. Don't let it dry and then try to wipe it. Earthbind in particular is really sticky. It's a real binding, so I mean, even your pumps and some of your tools, like that's going to be real sticky if I let it go. So any of this stuff you just want to put back in the water, because you'll be using it again. So that's Earthbinder, Tec-Dri product specifically made for rammed earth. Part of the process of your maintenance process, this is step 2. Step 1 will be cleaning. Step 2 will be Earthbinder, which is the dusting and the crumbling protection of that. Then after this, when this is dry, we'd apply the waterproof sealer. Don't apply this after waterproof sealer, guys. It won't soak into your wool and you'll have a white milky mess that you cannot get rid of. So before the sealer. All right, let's get into the process of spraying the wool. Okay, so top down. There's a bit there going over spray on that. See how it's running down the walls? That's how you want it. You want it soaking up real good, running down your walls. Now I like to stop just a little bit earlier, so you don't waste all that stuff going down that wall. You see all that milky stuff going on? That's how you want it going on. Soak it on real good. Now, this already has a sealer on it, so it's not going to penetrate like it should because it already has a sealer on it. So when you go to apply it later without the sealers, and you'll really see it soak into that wool. You won't see this white beading straight away. You'll see it really soak into the wool. So what's called a wet on wet process, so she gets a good soaking saturation. So usually this wouldn't be beaded, it'll be soaked into your wool, and you'll see a dark brown where it's soaked into your wool. You'll see stuff drying in a few spots, you might hit a couple of little spots. We use the roller to get into any of these little spots and also just stop from stopping all that stuff just running on your wool. So a wet and wet process is I would have applied it once, given a good soaking like I did. Then I'm going to go through again and I'm going to give it another good soaking. Now, of course, it wouldn't be rolling off the walls like this. Like I said, we put a sealer on it, and I'd be applying a lot more of it. But I'm not going to apply more, obviously, because I would just be wasting it. But now we're going to go back with our roller, and we're going to do what's called back rolling. All right. Now, if you guys have rolled with paint, there's a way to use a roller. You got the tail and the head. The tail comes after the head, because all the weight, the pressure on a roller is going to be up on this point here. So that's going to stop you having your runs, all right? And you're going to work that thing in like that. Now, it is going to soak into your wool, and it isn't going to be milky afterwards either. So this is going to lock all that dusting, all your bits and pieces. So some of these little areas you really might want to work over a little bit more. You want to really hit some of them crumbling spots. Really work that binder into those spots. And that's going to just stick everything. It just locks everything down real tight. If you wanted to get a brush in there, you could go with a bit of a brush to really get into those spots. But that's your process of applying Earthbinder. Pretty simple way, pretty simple. If you got anything on those windows or stuff like that, now would be the time to get a sponge and wipe them on down. But this is stopping all those runs from happening. We don't want runs coming down and leaving on the wool and drying, because they will show up. See how it's just giving a nice, clean, even stipple? That's what you want. Okay? There's your earth binder applied. Now that's got a wet on wet coat. That's what we went over twice. Usually I'd put it a lot heavier than that, but because it's got the sealer, it's not penetrating, it's running straight off. Now I did apply this over sealer, which is what I recommended not doing. Now this is probably about 2 or so years old, this sealer, so this will slowly penetrate in, and if there's any problems, because we're showing a demo video, I'll probably just wipe it off and wash it off. But usually you wouldn't see it white like this, you'll just see a big brown wall where it's soaked in. And you do a wet on wet process. That's basically the procedure. It's pretty simple, guys. Spray it on, do a wet on wet, roll afterwards to clean any of your drops, have a bucket of water with a rag to do any cleanup. If you wanted to clean up some of this area here, you know what I mean? Just clean it up now. Clean it up before it gets wet, before it dries out. Now, there's no problems with doing the concrete stem wall or the bond beam. You can spray that with the earth binder and the sealers. I'm just going to clean off those windows, see if there was a little bit on any of them. And there we are, earth binder. Next will be waterproof sealer. G'day guys, back to the sealing process. We've already washed our walls, we've already put our earth binder on, 1:8 ratio on the exterior. Now we're going to apply the water repellent. This is a 1:9 ratio. Now, it's a breathable, water-based product, Tech Dry Australia again, specifically made for rammed earth. 1:9 ratio, this comes in concentrated form, so diluted, this 5-gallon bucket here will actually make 50 gallons of diluted mix. So 1:9 ratio, once again, I like to write on everything. I've got right here, this is one that we'll put a mix into, WB mix, it used to be called that in the old days, a 1:9 ratio, 14.4 ounces. So I'm gonna mix up 2 gallons, so I'll need 28.8 ounces, which is basically 29 ounces. So 2 gallons of water. You guys can mix up more, however much wool you got to build. I'm mixing up 2 gallons now because it gives me more pressure in my sprayer. So we're going to add 14.4 ounces per gallon, so 29 ounces. And there's 24 right there. So once again, shake your product. It'll say it on the label even. 1:9 ratio. There's 24 ounces. And I'm going to add another 5 ounces to that. There we have our diluted mix ready to go. Now we're going to shake that up. Once again, keep all this stuff in a bucket of water, guys. Otherwise it gets sticky and real hard to clean. Another reason why we like to have buckets of water around. I'm going to grab another bucket to keep the sponge in. So I now have this mix ready to go, and there's two gallons of mix in here. Okay, I'm going to put in our sprayer. There's all different types of sprayers you can get. Some are better than others. You'll find some of these industrial ones in some of your concrete stores, your concrete supply stores that sell all the special products for concrete finishing, colours, sealers, all sorts of things. Pretty simple process so far. Right, just check your spray pattern. There you go, that's what we want. So once we're going to start up here, start at the top. Once again, these walls have been sealed, so you're not going to see a true penetrant like they usually are. Get my roller ready. And I'm also going to grab a shield. Let's protect this window. So I'll probably start and get these edges first. Start at the top, let the runs run down, do the work. Give it a good soaking. Now you'll find you probably want to stop before you get all the way down to the bottom, because you'll find it just running off crazy. So there's no need to waste all that product on. So I usually stop about here and I'll let it all run down the wall, and then I might do just a quick little hit as I got my roller in my hand. Try not to waste all that stuff. Okay, so once again, we're going to apply a wet on wet. Okay, so that would have normally soaked in. You would have normally see all that soaked in. Then you might see some dry spots. You'll hit that dry spot real quick to try to catch it up to the first coat. Let it sit for a bit, and then you're going to go over it again. And this is what we call a wet on wet process. So you're really saturating that wool. Now, of course, normally I would be spraying a lot tighter, a lot closer, because it's going to soak into the wool. But I'm spraying pretty fast here right now because it's just running off the wool. Now there's your process right there. So you've applied two coats, wet on wet, it's saturated. Once again, you're going to grab your roller and you're going to work it into your points. And this stops all that stuff from happening, those runs. So when it dries, you're not going to have those runs. That's what we're using the roller for, to give it a nice worked in finish. Now, if you're going back on a maintenance thing, you can see how this seal is applying a lot better than the earth binder, which was more milkier over this. A sealer you can apply over top of a sealer, so much better, it seems, than the earth binder over a sealer. There isn't any problems with it going on any of the concrete. Now usually, I'm not going to run a roller up that edge, we might run a brush. Any small little problems, you can get a little spray type bottle and you can spray them in by hand. When you finish with your rollers, stick them in some water. Stop them getting sticky so you can reuse them again. Now I had them on the windows and I had some on the tin up top there. So I'm going to give that a clean while I'm here. Get that good and wet. Keep flipping your sponge. Don't keep it on the same side, flip it, then do a clean and you're ready to go again. But there we are, that's got your waterproof sealer on it. We've done all three processes. This is a maintenance thing you're probably going to have to do every 3 to 5 years, depending on how affected it's weathering. We're directly in the south here. Our weather here in Oklahoma comes from the southwest. So this corner, this whole edge here is going to get hit pretty hard by weathering. So this building's 2010, so 12 years ago. We just applied our third coat of sealers, and as you can see, it was still sealing pretty good just after 2. So it all depends on how you apply it, how much weathering and how often you have to do it. But this is part of your maintenance program. G'day guys, want to recap on what we've done today. We've cleaned our walls. The first process, so we don't want, when we put our sealers or earth binder and sealers on, we don't want anything under the wall that's going to show. So that's part of the process of cleaning. We applied our earth binder, which is going to lock everything, seal it all, dust it, really lock everything down. All these crumbling little parts, it's like a glue, it's just going to bind everything really good. Then we've applied our waterproof sealer, waterproof repellent over that. And that's our 3-step process: cleaning, earth binder, and waterproof. Now, this is a maintenance deal. This is every 3 to 5 years, depending on how the wool's affected by the weather. Right, that's the process. Aussie Built Supply, give us a call, look us up on our website, aussiebuiltsupply.com. Call us, ask questions, been in the industry for quite a long time. Guaranteed you'll love these products, specifically designed for rammed earth, guys.